Today we're going to take a look at this. It's the new manual espresso machine from everyone's favourite German multinational supermarket, Aldi. Now, I've had a number of run-ins with Aldi and coffee things over the years, from some suspiciously wet cheese to a very expensive but also inexpensive bean-to-cup coffee maker. I don't think things being cheap is bad. I think it's good. I want things to be cheaper and more accessible. However, when something is cheap and terrible, I think that's doubly bad value for money. I think that's a bad thing. This is £59.99, 60 quid, £60 in American money, like barely $80. That is outrageously cheap. And for a long time, a lot of coffee people, myself included, have said the espresso machine has a pretty simple job. It's got to heat water up, it's got to push it forwards at pressure through a bed of coffee. And the coffee itself is doing most of the kind of work. If you have a good grinder, that's the key to good espresso. You know, it's kind of, for a long time we said the grinder was more important than the espresso machine. But what if the espresso machine is £60? Can it make good coffee? Now, it's got 1,350 watts of raw power, so I guess it can heat the water up. It offers 20 bars of pressure, which is not actually a good thing. Generally, we brew at 8 to 9 bars most often. Higher pressures aren't very desirable, but often these machines use little vibration pumps that are rated to produce sort of higher pressures, and they'll tend to bleed some of that pressure off to the side so that not that much goes to the puck. It's not like a top trumps thing where more bars is better. No. Now, I haven't actually used this machine yet. I haven't properly unpacked it, but we have opened the box, broken the many security stickers around the edges of this, because I wanted to check the basket. And unfortunately, it does come with a pressurized basket that is designed to use pre-ground coffee that's too coarsely ground for espresso. And so the basket itself kind of adds some resistance to slow the flow down and help make some crema as part of that process. I can't test it with that. Fortunately, had a little bit of a rummage around. We've got loads of strange things like funny sized baskets. We found a matching basket. So we can actually test this with a proper grinder and see what happens. Let's have a little look in the box. So for your £60, and bear in mind in the UK sales tax is about £10. So this is £50 plus tax, which is not much. You get your portafilter, which comes with the very annoying little flappy bit that is designed to stop a basket falling out when you knock it out because it's got no spring on the inside. Here, one of your classic double pressurized baskets, and interestingly, a single pressurized basket where they've just made it shallower. None of the different shapes, they're just like a little shallow version of those things. The final all-important accessory is your scoop. This one, a tamp scoop. This is the basket that I found. I can't remember exactly where I would have gotten it from, but fits perfectly. We're going to give it a wash actually first because it really doesn't smell good. And then we're going to purge some water through it because that's recommended. And then we can see what you get for your money. First step, we're going to put some good quality espresso recipe water into here. That's right, we've made our own custom mineralized water because we're that weird, to put into a £60 coffee machine. Some of this water will have to be purged through as part of the initial setup process, but it's a worthwhile sacrifice. I will say, straight out of the gate, that's quite a nice water tank. Detachable, that's a win. Easy to use, nice to fill. Good start. Going to put a little container there and take this dial. Now. Yep. Now look at this. What they've done here is actually quite charming. They've got little photos as buttons, all illuminated with colour and stuff. So you've got, obviously, power, espresso, Americano, espresso cool, and steam. We're not going to do espresso cool because I don't, so far, have yet to really enjoy the outcome of that. And so I don't think I'm a good judge of its quality, but hot espresso, I feel comfortable telling you if that's good or not. Now I am going to look to see how the water's coming out of the shower head. I'm hoping for a nice even distribution, which would set us up for success when it comes to brewing espresso, assuming the liquid coming out is hot and at the right pressure. But if it's nicely distributed from that shower head, we could be in a good place. That distribution of water from the shower head, not bad, really not bad. Not the best, but I remember we did sort of sub £100 espresso machines before, and that was one of the key flaws in that. I don't think anything was £60 cheap in that. I think they were all about £90, £100. 60, just wild. But water distribution, it's looking all right. I guess let's make some coffee. This is overkill. I know this is overkill, but I just want to know, right? Like, if you're not familiar, this is a grinder called the Z1 from a company called Zerno. It is a $1,500 grinder-to-order grinder, 64mm flat burrs inside of it. We will be reviewing it on the channel. I do want to shout out just quickly our Patreon, which allows us to go and buy this stuff. It might just be £60, it might be $1,500. It lets us review things honestly, without bias, without having to get loaners or freebies. I'm very grateful to those people, and we like to make sure that these end up in a good home afterwards. I've never put coffee in this basket before, so I'm going to start with like 16 grams and go from there, see how that works out. Found a dosing funnel. It's not a perfect fit, but it will help me make a bit less mess. If it is a bit fine, I'm not going to drink it. This tamper is very unpleasant. So that's not nice. All right, I'm predicting a choked shot here. Can I just say, points again to this little espresso machine. I can comfortably get a scale under there with a cup, clearance on the portafilter. That's not true of a lot of machines. Annoyingly, it should be true of all machines, but it's not true. That, I'm impressed. I'll start a timer when it gets going. Ooh. Hello. I disagree on the length of an espresso with this machine. This did not give me very much water. Flow was actually a little bit fast, which is good news. That's good. That's great. I'm not going to taste it. I'm going to push, I guess, the Americano button next to see if I can kind of control the shot length. I'm going to aim for, say, 16 grams in and maybe 38 to 40 grams out. So not a strict 2-to-1, a little bit longer, just because that's what I'm feeling today. Now, the question is, how terrible is the flippy over thing for knocking out? Because I find, that we've got to get this little thing on there. Don't like it. Now, I'm feeling pretty good about our 16 gram guess. The puck is solid, but just. So if we'd left too much space in there, you get a kind of wet, sloppy puck. That isn't a bad thing when it happens if you get a kind of sloppy puck. It just says there was quite a lot of space for the puck to expand into at the end of the shot. But this machine won't have a pressure release valve called a solenoid valve often. So that's not going to be a huge issue anyway. But overall, yeah, it was all right. I got to tell you, the scoop tamp is one of nature's worst inventions. I will do a little bit more puck prep when I feel dialed in before I taste one, just to give it the best possible chance of success. Let's try the Americano button, see if we get a bit more liquid through the old puck. Looking pretty good. Now, seeing the error of my ways. I just said this machine doesn't have a solenoid valve. And what that means is when you press stop, usually in a sort of nicer machine, any water that hasn't gone through the cake yet is ejected out of the top. And so you'd usually stop the shot maybe 2-3 grams ahead of time. I didn't think about that very clearly. So I stopped the shot at 36 grams, and this has produced 46 grams because that residual pressure wasn't released and slowly dissipated and pushed through the cake. So I need to stop this shot way, way earlier. But the next one, I'm feeling pretty good about. You'll also therefore find a sort of soupy wet layer on the top of the puck that will eventually drip through the portafilter. That will make a mess if you've left a scale underneath, so definitely take that out. But right now I've just got to kind of pour it out, put my little flippy thing up, and then... But that's not uncommon in these kind of machines at all. Generally, machines with sort of solenoid valves, with these release valves, start at like 200 plus pounds. So it's rare to see one this cheap because it's more technology, it's more cost. Makes sense. You've just got to allow for these things. And remember, think about it. And then you can adapt and overcome. Gonna up my puck prep game. Gonna give this a good shake first. Break up any clumps that might be in there. It's gonna go in. Lovely. I'm gonna get a needle distribution tool. And we're going to give it a little stir. If you want to see more about my whole puck prep routine and when I'm making espresso that I really want to enjoy, I'll leave a link to a video down below. I'm going to destroy all my hard work with the tamp scoop. $39 grams out, about 28, 30 seconds, somewhere there. That's decent. That's a pretty balanced, well-extracted shot of espresso. Is it the best shot of the day? The best shot of my life? Heavens no. Does it taste like it came from a £60 coffee maker from Aldi? No, it does not. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a little sharp at the end, just a little. But generally, that is a well-made espresso. That is a 7 out of 10 in terms of brewing quality. That is astonishing in many ways. Now, we'll come on to the downside of doing it with a machine like this in just a second, but the adage of it's the grinder is probably true. You know, what an espresso machine does at a very base level, at the basic version, is quite simple and now can be done at extremely low costs. Like, here's the thing. So £60, £10 of that goes to the UK government as sales tax, £50. Aldi made money on that. Maybe they made £15, £10, whatever. The factory that made it and the people that shipped it from the factory to Aldi made money. How cheap is stuff now? That's just wild to me that this was achieved. And with some charming details. They could have cheaped out even further. This didn't need to be a selection of hilarious colour pictures for no real reason. Like, that's nice. The water tank didn't have to be detachable, but it is. The clearance is good. We'll steam some milk in just a second. I'm happy and surprised, and I have a lot of feelings. The instructions for this, sort of how to steam, are not particularly clear. I'm going to do the best I can. It's a weird steam wand thing. Often these ones where they have the kind of wide tubes are kind of auto-foaming, and you have a little hole here that you don't want the milk to cover while you're adding air, because air will be pulled in here by the steam and injected, and then when the milk level rises above the hole, then you kind of move into the churning phase. I presume that's how this works. I'm going to pull a shot, I'm going to steam some milk, we're going to find out. So while that continues to drip in a slightly annoying way, very annoying way, let's turn on the steam functionality. Now this is going to blink on and off, and when it goes steady state, we're ready to steam. I will have to maneuver the machine, twist it around so that I could use it in a practical sense. But we'll try and make sure you can see what's going on. I do suspect a large amount of water in this line. I'm just going to purge that out. Not bad. I mean, I don't want that in my milk drink, but I'm glad it's gone. Are you an auto steamer or not? Better milk than you think it's going to be, but it's still pretty flawed. But I think that if I take off this and just use this as a regular steam wand, I think I can get some better results. I think this auto frothy type attachment is bad and frustrating and annoying. Let me try one more time. So this is non-dairy milk, because we tend to have non-dairy around here at the studio most of the time. And the resulting texture is, I would say, great. That's very nice milk texture. That's not a very easy steam wand to use, but it's not particularly difficult either. If you understand how to steam milk, and of course we've made a video about that, it is linked down below, but if you know how to steam milk, the length of this bit here is annoying, for sure, but it has plenty of steam power. Like, that can really churn the milk round in the jug, really knock the bubbles down to be very small so that you get microfoam. As a milk beverage, I'm in the awkward position of saying, that's delicious. That's very nice. 60 quid. But I have feelings. This is not, at this point, a straight endorsement to buy this thing. Part of me wants to give this thing an enthusiastic, yes, if this is the only budget that you have, buy this thing. Because in some key areas, it performs extremely adequately. Like, well, even, I would say. Like, if you know how to steam milk, taking off the adapter, it steams nice milk. It heats up from brewing to steam relatively quickly. Like, the steaming side, yeah, pretty good. The brewing side, not bad. Like, it can make decent espresso if you have good coffee beans, if you have good water for brewing, and if you have a good grinder. Do you need a grinder this good? Because this is an excellent grinder. when I review this, we'll be getting into the sort of minutiae around its excellence, but it's unquestionably a very good grinder. No, you could get away with something like one of the grinders from the sub 250 category that we reviewed recently, something like the Baratza ESP or the DF54. When we talk about using other grinders, this is let's call it a 9 out of 10 grinder, very, very good grinder. If you used, let's say, a 7 out of 10 grinder, you wouldn't get quite as good as shots out of it, but you'd still get pretty decent shots. And if you understand espresso technique, and let's say you were using a sort of cheaper grinder, the shots were a little sour, if you're willing to compromise, say, texture and mouthfeel, you could pull those shots a little longer, a bit more liquid through them, and still probably get decent and tasty and balanced results that would be great in drinks like an Americano or a cappuccino or a cafe latte or whatever else you might use, even if it's not the perfect espresso. But yeah, this is doing well because it's set up for success with something excellent. Something pretty good would see a kind of matching loss of quality, I guess. And maybe that's okay. We've always said spend more money on the grinder than the espresso machine. And the espresso you get from it is okay. It's good. It's good. It's not great, but it's good. There may be some fluctuations in temperature here. I have no idea where the pressure really is sitting. There's not a lot of control or insight with this, but it's £60. But I have this hesitation in me, this sort of hesitancy to give it this full-throated sort of recommendation. And that's because everything in this world has a cost, right? To get this delivered to me here for this little money must involve compromise. Like, I don't think this is something that anyone is going to repair meaningfully. I don't think it's going to be easy to repair. I have no idea about its true longevity. Do I expect it to survive its warranty? Honestly, I'm not sure. It's so cheap. It's so cheap. Corners have to have been cut somewhere. That bit makes me nervous because buying this, getting, let's say 12 months out of it, just after warranty, but a planned obsolescence, it dies. Into landfill it goes. And that's not what I want. A good espresso machine lasts decades if you look after it, literally decades. And I don't see this as having a really long lifespan. And you might say, yeah, but it's £60. And I'm like, yeah, but, you know, buying one of these every year versus spending £300 on something that lasts for 20 years, well, that's a sort of question, right? Like, which would you rather do? And to be, totally fair and honest in the test, this isn't just £60. Already we've added cost of a basket to this, so let's say another £20. So this is like an £80 espresso machine. You are 100%, if you use this every day, going to want a tamper because the scoop tamper is horrific. Even on the cheaper, let's say £15, £20. So we're at £100 now. For £100, yeah, it's still surprisingly good, actually. I don't know, I'm not really arguing against myself, but I do want to kind of give you the true cost of getting a functional, useful one of these. The pressurized basket is not useful, so that has to be replaced to get something delicious and good and high quality out of this thing. The experience of using it isn't very good, right? Like, it doesn't feel good. It drips everywhere. It's constantly dripping. It's messy. It's unpleasant to knock the puck out. I don't particularly like using it in any meaningful way. You know, I think about something like a solenoid valve in the group head. That's actually a real quality of life improvement for the money when you do buy a machine with one of those in there. Would I want this mess in my house every single day? I'd have to really love espresso and be pretty confident in making espresso to get the most out of this. And so then I wonder, well, who's the audience really for it? Because for most people who look at this and say £60, they'll be like, it's a toy, it's useless. If there's something about coffee, it turns out it is useful. But if you've made espresso well enough and often enough to understand the process, then you might find this very cumbersome and annoying and frustrating on a daily basis. I think that's kind of where I want to get to with my feelings on this. I have no idea how long it's going to last. I have no expectations of being able to fix it when it breaks. I have no idea how it will break, any of those things. But it made, for the money, surprisingly good espresso. Now I want to hear from you. Did one of you buy this? Have you changed the basket? Have you just using the pressurized basket? Have you been putting good coffee in it? Have you had some good results? If you steamed milk as it sort of comes, will you now try taking off the little attachment and foaming it properly? Because the results, genuinely very surprising. I'd love to hear any of your experiences and any of the thoughts you have or questions you might have about this brewer down in the comments below. But for now, I will say thank you so much for watching and hope you have a great day.